Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lugness Monster. Today, we're going to be looking at the top 10 worst Star Wars The Black Series figures of 2022. A few weeks ago, we did look at the top 10 best Star Wars Black Series figures of 2022, but today we're going to be looking at the worst. Now, one quick rule before you get into the video. Archive figures do not count for this, just because while they are 2022 figures, they technically are just re-releases of previous figures, so they will not be counted in this list. And real quick before we do get into the video, if you are new to the channel, make sure to go down, hit the like button, and subscribe, because we are doing a Black Series Bad Batch Captain Rex giveaway, because we had 8,500 subs. So thank you guys so much for all the recent support, I do really appreciate it. And we're already up to 8,600 subs, 8.6k, which is crazy. So thank you guys again for all the support. You do have to be subbed to the channel to enter in the giveaway, so make sure you go do that real quick. And then if you do want to enter, make sure to go check out the Black Series Captain Rex giveaway. That one is linked in the description and pinned in the card right now, but you do have to go ahead and comment on that video to enter, and I'll use a random comment generator to win. But remember, you do have to be subbed, so hit that sub button, and on to the video. Coming into the number 10 spot, as I guess technically the least worst figure on this list, I gave it to Galen Urso, part of the Rogue One line. Now, this figure is an interesting figure. I do absolutely love the, I guess you could say, Imperial outfit he's wearing. I'm not really sure what to call it, if it's like an officer or a technician, or like what type of Imperial outfit it is, but I think it looks really cool. The problem is the face mold. The face mold looks horrible. It doesn't look anything like the actor. And it looks like he just like took a bite down on a lemon. He looks like he has something sour in his mouth. I don't know. His face looks really weird, and just not a great figure in my opinion. He also took so long to hit stores that by the time he actually hit stores a year after he went up for pre-order, a lot of people just kind of forgot about him. I mean, at the number 9 spot, I gave it to Comic Book Leia, and there's a few reasons for this. One, I'm just not that attached to this version of the character. I never read the comic that she's a part of, and I'm also just not a big fan of this version of the outfit as well. From the comic book images that I've seen, it's supposed to be a little bit more of a streamlined outfit, and the figure is like pretty much baggier clothes, and I think that's just because they reused a lot of the Hoth Leia for this figure, and that's kind of why. But from that aspect, it's just kind of inaccurate from the photos that I've seen of the actual comic book. But yeah, just for those reasons, not a terrible figure, but it's just not the best Leia figure we have in the line. Coming in at number 8, I gave it to General Grievous from the Tartakovsky Clone Wars line. Now this one is an interesting idea for a character, and I absolutely love the Tartakovsky 2D Clone Wars, so I want to make that very clear. I love the 2D Clone Wars. But the problem is, I just don't really like how this Grievous came out. There's no new sculpting for this. It's just a repaint of the already existing Grievous we've got. And that is fine. It just doesn't really represent Tartakovsky Grievous how I'd like it to. That's just a different version of Grievous, and instead all they did was kind of just repaint the Grievous that we had, and I just think that kind of just reminds me of like Credit Collection Carbonized, where it's a cheap repaint than really getting the new sculpting that it deserves. And I just think that, like, hey, we have to make 3 Tartakovsky Clone Wars figures, let's make Grievous. It's just kind of a waste of a figure. I don't know. I think there's a lot more Tartakovsky characters that could have used a spot in the line rather than than this General Grievous. It almost just feels like a waste of a spot for a figure, in my opinion. Then coming in at the number 7 spot, I did give it to Black Series Fordo. This one I don't like at all. I love the ARC Trooper mold, and I love ARC Troopers in the line. And for a standard ARC Trooper figure, this is great. I absolutely love how this one came out as an ARC Trooper. But as Fordo, it sucks. Standard Phase 1 ARC Trooper, great. Fordo, it's horrible. I'm sorry. It looks nothing like Fordo. So I think there's 2 things they could have done with this. They could have gone with the animated stylized helmet and animated stylized pauldron and everything like that, or they could have went with a realistic style. But instead, they kind of just merged the 2 together, where they took the realistic armor and then just painted on the stylized look on top of that, and it just does not work. I think if they're gonna go with a like a realistic style, they should have went with something like this. I'll throw up a photo. Or if they were gonna go with something animated, they should have went with like something like the TVC figure here. If they could do it in TVC, why can't they do it in Black Series? I know like a lot of people are like, well, it's Black Series, it's supposed to be realistic. So is TVC. Why couldn't they have done the same thing they did in TVC in Black Series? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'll say it again. As a standard ARC Trooper, one of the best ARC Troopers we have in the line. But as Fordo, it's not good. Coming in at the number 6 spot, I gave it to the convention-exclusive Jon Favreau figure. Now, I absolutely love Jon Favreau. Mad props to him and all the stuff he's been in. I love Jon Favreau, but as this convention-exclusive figure, I just don't like it. For one, you never really see it in the show, so, like, this is more of a novelty item, kind of like the George Lucas Stormtrooper, or I was about to say like the Dave Filoni, but he's actually like a character in The Mandalorian. You see his face and everything like that, so I'm not counting that. That's a pretty good figure. The Trapper Wolf, I'm all right with that. But with Jon Favreau, like you never see him in the suit like that, so I just don't think it's necessary. And then two, there's a huge price increase. This was a $10 price increase compared to the original figure, and obviously that has something to do with the convention exclusive part of it. But like if you're gonna buy this figure, just buy the original one. $10 cheaper. There's no point in going out of your way to get the convention exclusive one, and because of that, it does make the worst list for me. Coming in at the number 5 spot, I gave it to the Gaming Great Senate Guard. Now, this one is a great idea for a character. I absolutely love the Senate Guard from the game, of course, Force Unleashed. I'm a huge Force Unleashed fan, and the reason this one makes a list is just because this one had so much potential. I think that this is, like I said, a great idea to do in the line, and they kind of just botched it. This one is super inaccurate compared to what is in the game. In the game, he does use more of a Stormtrooper, like, torso. With the figure, they just repainted the already existing, of course, Royal Guard blue rather than keeping it the red, and it's just not accurate. It's not accurate at all, and it 100% ruins the figure for me. I think they should have went ahead and gave it that Stormtrooper torso, and I think that really would have changed the entire look of this figure, and it would have made it really, really good. Almost one of the top tier Gaming Greats figures. And then I don't know how accurate this is because some of the material I found has it and some don't, so I can't like guarantee the authenticity of this. But some source material has these guards have like a blue comma, and some don't. So I'm not really sure which one's accurate, but here's some of them with the blue comma, and I think the blue comma looks great with this figure. So I think that's one thing that this figure is missing, is a blue comma. Like I said, I can't guarantee that it's accurate, but from the source material that I found, it looks amazing, and even if it wasn't accurate, I think it would have made the figure better. Now, coming in at the number 4 spot is a lot of people's worst figure of the year, and that is Black Chrysanthemum, part of the comic book line. And honestly, I'll give this the worst single figure of the year, but the next 3 spots are kind of like large groups of figures that I just think are worse overall. But Black Chrysanthemum is not a good figure by any means. It needed a brand new sculpt, and luckily we are getting a Book of Boba Fett version in 2023 that will be accurate, but this one just sucks. They just repainted Chewbacca, gave him a new shoulder thing, a new head, and called it good, and then dunked it in black paint, and it's just not good. There's a lot of stuff that this figure needed, but like I don't know what else to say. Like bigger, bulkier kind of thing. And I know a lot of people were defending it like, well, it's the comic book version, so it's not the Book of Boba Fett version, so it's not as bulky. Yeah, but even the image they picked for the comic book box, it's a huge, big, bulky Black Chrysanthemum. That's just part of the character, and this skinny, malnourished Black Chrysanthemum is not what we really needed in the line, to be honest. Coming in at the number 3 spot, I gave it to all the holiday figures. I think the holiday figures are a cool idea, but all in all, they're just not for me. I think that, of course, they appeal to some people, and if you like them, that's great, do your thing, but like I said, they're not really my thing. I think if you're doing trooper repaints, you're doing these repaints, why don't you just give us actual on-screen variants of troopers that we've seen? Like, give us those repaints. Why are you giving us these holiday figures that don't have any like actual on-screen presence? So, like, again, it's just one of those where it's like a waste of a spot where instead of a holiday line, we could have got a trooper repaint line and it would have sold much better. But again, just kind of my opinion. Going in the number 2 spot, I gave it to the Carbonized Figures released in 2022. Now, these figures are not great. I'm just going to come out and say it. They're not great. I think the Carbonized line started off really, really good, and that has to do with the customized boxes. Each box was pretty much specific to the character. So, like, the Sith Trooper had a red box. The, the Seventh Sister had a gunmetal gray kind of graphite box. So, or not the second sister, But yeah, like the box was individualized for the character and it looked really good. It was a nice aesthetic and it wasn't the best figures in the line, but they were pretty cool. And then with these newer figures though, all the boxes were the same and the colors didn't match the actual figure, and so because of that, they just didn't look great. And then two of the figures just were kind of bad choices for carbonized characters. They kind of went with the Mandalorian theme here, and so you do have the Remnant Scout Trooper and the Shore Trooper that showed up in the Mandalorian, and they just didn't carbonize very well. The Scout Trooper wasn't carbonized enough, and then the Shore Trooper was like a weird color. It's almost like a mustard gold, and it just didn't look great. So I love what they used to do with the carbonized line, but the newer stuff just isn't for me. And then coming in at the number one spot as the worst figures of 2022, I gave it to the credit collection line. I don't like the credit collection line at all. I used to like it a lot. I thought with Wave 1, they looked alright. I mean, with like Mandalorian Season 1, a lot of the concept art that they used for the end credit photos, they didn't actually look like the characters in the show. And because of this, the weird repaints and stuff, it worked because the card backs didn't look like the actual characters. But with the Season 2 concept art, all these characters looked exactly like they actually were in the show. And so what they ended up doing was they kind of just added some weird colors to it. Like Ahsoka looked like Ahsoka actually did in the show. And so what they did was they just kind of put some blue on her to look like her lightsabers. Or Bo-Katan, they added the yellow on her to look like the jetpack effect. The Dark Trooper, they just spray painted like Easter colors. I don't even know what was up with that. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't work to me. It's a waste of a spot in the line, and they look really bad, and they peg warm. I just don't like them. If you like them, that's your thing. That's great. You do you, but they're just not for me. And yeah, I guess let me know in the comments what you guys think of the credit collection, but I don't like them. But yeah, that's probably going to do it for the video. If you did, enjoy the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.